You know what a good feeling that is right there? To look this way and not see the mess I still have to clean up. You know how good mentally that is, just to feel like you have an almost clean spot to work? So let's get after it. Tell you how much I hate throwing anything away. I hold on to these old belts that are just not cutting it anymore, rather than throwing them out, and they just sit here and they collect dust. It's just no good. Now these heavy grip belts, they actually last a long time, which is kind of handy. You can get a lot out of them, and then once they're kind of worn out for metal, they'll work for a little bit for wood, but with wood, these belts, they gum up real fast. So before I had these things hanging real high, and they're kind of pain in the ass to get to. I guess it's high time to address this chaotic mess. But we knew that would happen, so I've just been kind of stacking everything on here, as I warned you I would, while we go through and start organizing this chaos. But I actually don't mind doing this portion of it. It's kind of, honestly, gives me time to think about the rest of what I'm doing here, and gives you a little thought process. It's kind of nice. I have so many bins of screws and just little out of the place junk everywhere. And it makes you wonder, when you have all this crap, if you're actually going to find a home for it all. I honestly don't want this thing to be the nasty little hellscape that the rest of my shop usually ends up becoming. So I need at least one space. Just mentally having that one space where you can see all your stuff, where things actually look halfway organized. The mental aspects of that are huge. It really makes a big difference. Just makes a big difference all around. You notice you're a lot happier with things. You feel better about it. It's crazy how much that just affects you. Not really much rhyme or reason at this point. We're just kind of finding homes for things and have to go from there as we go. It makes you wonder how one guy can acquire so much junk. But like I said, I just have a terrible habit of, no, can't throw that out, might be useful someday. Alright, now let's get down to some of the better stuff. Welding lenses. Most of this stuff came off of that one bench that we welded the anvil on. That's where just about all this stuff came from. Now, it can't be a proper workbench without a bench vise on it, that's for sure. So what I want to do with this guy, I usually hang it out a little bit more, but I want to catch as much meat in the wood as I can here. Probably, I can probably bring it over some. It's a little space. So I've gotten pretty lazy the way I mount my bench vices over the years. I used to drill through, do long threaded rod, but I find like these ledger locks and timber type screws, they work just fine into a wooden bench. I don't really have any issues of it pulling out, and I can hang off of it when it's done. Because it's not really a workbench until you get your bench vise on it. And then you can call it a workbench. So I want to make sure I'm catching this 8x8 on the back side here, especially with these longer ledger locks. Whoever says the 12-volt Milwaukee won't do timber screws, I mean, you don't want to do them all day. In fact, Evergreen Organics, you ought to check out their channel. He does some good camera work over there. He mentioned that he usually grabs for his M12 quite a bit, and I do too over the M18 just because it's light, very convenient. I like it quite a bit. For years I used DeWalt stuff, and you guys know how I feel about DeWalt stuff these days. They're definitely not what they used to be, but they work, I guess, I suppose. I mean, I just don't know how you go home and tell your wife and kids you're using DeWalt tools, but that's just me. So these are most of the files I use on a regular basis, some more regular than others, but I kind of like to have them laid out, and I never seem to get to that point. But I think now's as good a time as any to do what we need to do here. Now I've got a lot of nice little files for doing, I'll say if I'm doing a touch mark or something like that, kind of handy. Usually I'll pick them up at a flea market. I think I got this whole pile right here for $5, I think, and they work fantastically. There's a never-ending pile of chainsaw files because, well, I do a lot of that. Well, it's kind of nice just to have things laid out, you know. These little files here, they're some of the nicest cutting files I've ever used. I guess now we'll drill some holes and get them set up. It's starting to look like some kind of a semblance of organization out here. I don't even know if I dare say that yet. Like I said at the opening of the video, just having these doors right here and sealing this space off from everything else, mentally, what a difference. I don't know if you guys are anything like I am, but when everything around me gets completely cluttered, completely chaotic, I can't concentrate. I can't focus on anything. I get looking at all the messes, and it's all self-induced trauma, you know, when it comes to our own shops and the way we work and our working habits. And you guys know who've watched this channel from the beginning, I've always been like this, and I'm always striving not to be like this. But in all honesty, I never have anything truly 100% set up because we're always off to the next thing. We're always in a major hurry. Well, this time we're just taking our time. So tonight, maybe doesn't look like a lot got done, but every little bit counts. We have our bench vise mounted. Now that's a really strong way to mount a bench vise if you have a nice thick workbench top. The workbench top itself is 3 inches thick. When we go in those back timber lags in the back, the ledger locks, I mean, we're going all the way down into that 8x8 with those. In the front one, we're getting the full meat of the 3 inches here. That's not going anywhere. And mostly what that vise is going to be used for is when we're doing our file work. That's why we have our files all set up the way we did, so I can just reach over and grab the ones I want, because that's something else I'm always doing. I'm constantly chasing files. I'll set them down over here, I'll set them down over there. Who knows? They end up everywhere, and I've never had a space just to put the damn files. So you saw the axe head. That's going to be the first carving axe going out the door. All I have to do for that is make a handle, and that'll be, well, we'll probably get that one listed here pretty soon. Kind of want to get a couple more things. We have a, you guys remember my love affair with draw knives? We have a few of these that we need to finish off, get handles, sharpen them, and get these out the door. So I actually have some stock to start with. I've got some more grinder belts ordered, things of that nature. I did order some Scotch-Brite 2x72 belts, because I've been using a deburring wheel on my bench grinder for a while now, which works nice, but it's hard to get in there everywhere you want because you're just limited with how small it is. So the other thing we have, I'm going to be picking up a real drill press, a floor mount drill press at some point here before Christmas. And we're going to find a spot somewhere in this. I'm going to have this thing filled with tools to the point where it's going to look like it did before. But as long as it's tools and they're set up where they're going to live, I can deal with that. And that's not so bad. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I'll catch you on the next one.